All right, the next part of the lesson, we are going to review how to find transformations and to graph. So remember, for transformations, A affects the slope of our graph. So that's our compress or stretch. So remember, stretch flattens it. So our A has to be, and it's the absolute value of A, has to be less than 1, but bigger than 0. And then for the compression, it has to be bigger than 1. So that makes our graph steeper. And then A, if it's negative, will be a reflection. So it's going to make our graph open down. So H moves the graph left or right. So left is positive, right is negative. So again, it does the opposite of what we think it would do. And then K moves the graph either up or down. So up is positive, down is negative. So it's going to do exactly what we think it does. Okay, so for the next problem, we're going to write in vertex form, describe transformations, and then state domain and range and graph. So to write it in vertex form, we have to decide which method to use. So since the number in front of my square term is not 1, I'm going to use the method where we just find the vertex and plug it into the vertex formula. So the vertex for this problem, we need to find our h first. So h is the opposite of b, so negative 8 divided by 2 times a, so negative 2. So negative 8 divided by negative 4 will give us positive 2. And then to find k, we are just substituting it in for all the x's. So negative 2 times 2 squared plus 8 times 2 minus 3. So 2 squared is 4 times negative 2 will be negative 8 plus 16 minus 3. So negative 8 plus 16 is positive 8, minus 3 is 5. Okay. And then my a value for this problem is negative 2. So to plug it into vertex form, we have y equals, and then a, which is negative 2. And then x minus h, so that is minus 2 squared, and then plus k. So we have plus 5. So again, we have it in our vertex form. The transformations, we have a reflection, a stretch from the 2. This 2, we went to the right. And then on the outside, we went up 5. And then our domain is going to be all real numbers. And then the range, since it's opening down, it's going to be, so I'm going to do it up here. It's going to be y less than or equal to, and then the k value, so 5. So since it's less than, if we write it in interval notation, it's going to go from negative infinity to positive 5. Oops, that should be a parenthesis. Negative infinity, positive 5 with a bracket. So now, if we are going to graph, we want to do our t-chart. So our vertex is 2, 5, and I'm going to choose 1 and 3. So if I pick 1, we're going to substitute it in. So, and again, I'm just going to kind of use my calculator to help me out. So we will have negative 2 times 1 squared plus 8 times 1 minus 3. So 0. And then 3 would have to be 0. So now, oh wait, hold on. Sorry, I mistyped. That 5 should be an 8. There you go. So it should be it should be a 3. And then that means that this one's 3. Okay. So to graph, we are going to be in our positive quadrant. So we're going to go right 1 up 3, and then right 2 up 5, right 3 up 3, and then we're going to make that U shape. So it's going to look something like that. All right, next example. So again, we're going to go through a similar process. So again, my square term isn't going to have a 1, so I'm going to use the same method to find h. So we're going to start by finding the vertex. So h equals positive 12 divided by 2 times 2. So 12 divided by 4 will be 3. Substitute that in to find our k value. So 2 times 3 squared minus 12 times 3 plus 17. So 3 squared is 9 times 2 is 18. 12 times 3 is 36 plus 17. So 18 minus 36 will be negative 18, and then plus 17 would give us a negative 1. Okay, so that means that my vertex is 3, negative 1, and my a value is 2. So if I just write that in, we'll have y equals 2 times x minus 3 squared, and then minus 1. So that's my vertex form. So my transformations, we will have a stretch of 2. We went to the right 3, and down 1. Domain is all reals, and range, since it's opening up because our a is positive, so that means that it would be y greater than or equal to negative 1. So that means that we're going to go from negative 1 to positive infinity. And then to graph, we need the t-chart. So vertex is 3, negative 1, and then we will choose 2 and 4. Okay, so again, I'm just going to use my calculator to help. So if I plug 2 in for the x's, we would have 2 times 2 squared minus 12 times 2, and then plus 17. Okay, so that's going to be 1. And since our graph is symmetric, that means the other point will also be a 1. So making our graph here, first point we are going to go right 2 up 1, right 3 down 1, and right 4 up 1. And then again, connect it into the U shape. And that would be our final answer, and that will also conclude section 7.